Alright, so we're up to game 3 of the Pilgrimage Tournament, and my third game is against Eugene and his Chaos Dwarfs. Eugene had plenty of artillery. He had the Earth Shaker, he had the Stone Thrower, 2 Bolt Throwers, 2 units of Chaos Dwarf Blunderbuss units. He's got a big block of Chaos Dwarf Warriors acting as a bunker for his general. Also a unit of 20 Orc Boys, which is the unit there in the middle that's painted white. He's also got 10 Arrow Boys. 3 units of 10 Goblins, a unit of 10 Chaos Dwarves, and Bull Centaurs on the left-hand flank. Also, he had a Chaos Dwarf hero on a mounted creature of some sort, which I'm not too familiar with. And what he did was he hid that character most of the time behind that black hill there. Yeah, that's pretty much all he had in his army. Just observing the way Eugene was playing his game, I had a feeling that he would shoot most of the time with his artillery while hanging back with his units. My instincts proved to be true because he was shooting a lot and very accurately, might I add, with his Earth Shaker and his Stone Thrower units. They were both hits most of the time and was on target. But the kills weren't much, which is very fortunate. He'd probably knock off about 2 orcs from the big unit there, even though he was spot on. And what the Earth Shaker does, I'm not too sure if you're familiar with it, but once you've determined where you've hit the Earth Shaker, you roll 2d6 inches, and that has an area of effect, and it affects units, and those units within that 2d6 inch area move at half speed. So along with the squabbling of the Gobbo Archer unit in front of those 2 Orc units, those 2 Orc units were really hampered down. And what I had in mind was to get rid of that Earthshaker unit with either the Chuckers or the Rock Lobber itself, or the Doom Diver, which is a lot closer. Getting rid of that Earthshaker would have allowed my Wyvern to move into his right flank and hopefully cause a bit of terror on the Orc Arrow Boys. Unfortunately, I didn't knock off the Earthshaker until about the 4th or 5th turn, and by then I had other plans for the Wyvern and the Black Orc Warboss. And you can see in the middle of the picture there, the pump wagon. I rolled high enough to move the pump wagon into the dwarf unit. But unfortunately, I didn't cause enough kills, and the pump wagon broke from combat, then fled. The Chaos Dwarf Warriors moved within 8 inches of the archers and released the fanatics from the archer unit. And I was fortunate enough to kill enough of the Chaos Dwarves, and that caused them to panic, and then fled through the fanatic again because the closest table edge was actually his side of the table. So I was fortunate to knock them out early. Now during his shooting phase, he kept shooting his blunderbusses into the unit of 24 Night Goblins, and very fortunate for them to be passing their leadership checks because the general was close by. With about 4 goblins left, I released the 2 fanatics because I moved them close enough to the blunderbusses, but I tried to move them towards the big Chaos Dwarf unit with his general, just to hamper his movement down a bit. And then in his turn, he planted the unit of 10 Gobbos on top of the 2 fanatics for 2d6 strength 5 hits for each fanatic. So I had 4d6, and then I rolled a 2 and a 1 and a 1, and I didn't kill enough of the goblins to make them panic or to just wipe them out. So yeah, and when it came to the panic test, the general was very close by, so he passed it with ease. Then in that shooting phase, he killed about 3 gobbos with the blunderbusses, and there was 1 goblin remained. And during my turn, I was foolishly baited into charging that one goblin into that unit of 3 goblins there, hoping to break them, but I lost and was cut down, and that allowed him to get that standard. Meanwhile, on the left flank, I seriously wanted to move those bullfighters away from the bull centaurs, but since the beginning of the game, they were squabbling. So, and also on the turn that I wanted to move them, when got within charge range, he charged me, because I got to move. So they were charged and easily defeated, and he moved his centaurs around to easily outflank me on the left-hand side. And the hoppers as well, when I got within close range and wanted to charge him, they squabbled as well. So there was no movement on the left-hand flank. Just a lot of squabbling and a lot of a lot of angry goblins. When I did manage to roll a 2+ on the animosity table for the hoppers, I moved them towards the blunderbuss unit instead and broke them. Then I overran and was killed by the hero mounted on the creature, which he moved out of the hill and he used that flame attack onto the hoppers and they were easily wiped out. After a few more turns, the Night Goblin Archer unit kept squabbling and the Shaman's unit squabbled too, so there was no magic for me to cast in that one round. I was getting ready for a combined charge with the Wyvern and the Archer unit on his unit of Orc Boys, but then when I rolled a 6 for the Archers, I rolled another 6, and that 6 inches moved the Archers up towards those Orc Boys and charged. They moved in. They were in for a fight, and unfortunately, I couldn't get any support from the Wyvern because of the high roll. Hoping for the Night Goblin Archers to break, for the Orcs to charge. The Goblins ended up winning the fight, and he passed his leadership test. The Centaurs were making their way towards the Chuckers, who couldn't kill any of his Bull Centaurs, and the last remaining Chucker hit the Earthshaker, randomized on the machine, wounded it, and then rolled the 5 for wounds. So I finally knocked off the Earthshaker, but it was a bit too late. And going back to the combat here in the middle, the Archer unit lost the combat this time, but wanted them to run away, but they stayed in the fight instead. Because I had the last turn, I would have charged the Wyvern and the Orc unit with the Shaman onto his Orc unit, and hopefully I would have broken them too, but it just wasn't meant to be. Also, on my last turn, the BSB charged out of his unit into the 3 goblins, the one that captured my standard earlier on, just to get it back, to pull back within some points. In the end, it was a close game, but I did lose 11-9, 18 points away from taking a 10-all draw. Lots of animosity in this game, which held me back a turn or two, and that's what really changed the game for me. So it was a good win to Eugene. He was also nice enough to let me know that I was his best sports for the day. So thanks, Eugene. Hopefully we can get a rematch sooner or later.